Christy again. I'm here today to chat with you about the second phase of the communication book protocol. Last time we discussed how to create the book, including the pages inside, and we discussed the first stage of this protocol, which is the child learning to transact a communication event. That is, handing the picture to someone else. Now, if your child is still getting used to the idea of handing a picture to you, then do not move on to the next stage until that has become a consistent thing, that your child wants something, he takes a picture and hands it to you. Until that is consistent and stable, until that's a skill that is very solid for your child, please do not move to the next stage. Of course, I'm going to continue making the videos for further stages because I don't know how far your child is already in this process, and I want all the videos to be available so that when you're ready, they're here. That does not mean that 1 week has passed, you should be moving on. Please don't see it that way. The second stage in this protocol is about persistence and a little bit of distance. So one thing that I do during this stage is that I take the picture and I put it inside the book instead of having it on the outside of the book. The book in either of these stages is not absolutely important. If your child, if you don't have a binder, but you do have pictures of stuff, just have them in front of the child or tape them on your bookshelf or on the child's shelf where all of her toys are. And she can take the picture and hand it to you, and then you can get the toys down. You don't need a binder for step 1 or for step 2, in fact. One of the ways I do distance is that it's inside the binder instead of outside the binder. It's a little bit out of sight. It's a little more challenging. If your child is getting antsy, you know she wants that toy up on the upper shelf, she can't reach it herself, she's getting antsy, you've been practicing taking the picture and handing it to you, and she's gotten really good at that, but when the picture is not right in front of her, she doesn't know what to do. This is not the time to just leave the room. This is the time to perhaps open the book, if you have it in a book, and let her observe that the picture is in fact there. And if indeed she was consistently independent with the first step, once she sees the picture, she should be grabbing it and handing it to you right away. Just seeing the picture at this point should be enough to initiate that transaction, even though it will take a little while to get over the hump because it's new. And so many of our kids don't deal well with new in their routines, which is one of the reasons it's great to have a procedure that we're going through that increases the requirements in a stepwise fashion. Not all at the same time. We're not expecting her all of a sudden to come out with a full sentence. Please, mommy, will you tie my shoes for me? That's not typical in a child's development, especially if there's any sort of disorder or delay happening. We want to make sure that we teach in steps, and that's what this protocol does. If you are not using a book and your child is getting all antsy, but you have the picture displayed on the bookshelf during step 1, then maybe in step 2, you put the picture in a different spot. Perhaps you put the picture a little bit farther away. Perhaps instead of right on this bookshelf, right by the toy is here, the picture is here, the child has to give you the picture and then you open the box that has the toy in it. Perhaps instead of doing that, you keep the picture on the child's bedroom door with some tape on there, so it's not quite as close to the item that she is requesting. Another option is that you pretend that you don't see the child's first communication attempt. So the child attempts to hand you the picture, but you aren't paying attention because you're talking to someone or something. In most cases, initially, children, especially those on the autism spectrum, will give up immediately. They will not persist with their attempt to communicate. And this is the stage where we want to sort of teach them that. In this case, it does help to have more than one person working with the kid. So one person, the one who is the getter of the desired object, would be the one who is pretending to be distracted. And then the support person, the scaffold person, this is the person who helps the kid learn a skill that is slightly beyond her reach. The support person would maybe help the child, take the child's hand, tap you on the shoulder, and then hand you the picture. So we're teaching that we need to be persistent and we need to be determined when we have a communication that needs to be shared. We can't give up just because the person wasn't looking at us or didn't have their hands out all ready to hear what we had to say. There you have it. This is step 2. It's kind of a small step because not that much has changed. We're still only using one picture, just one at a time. And of course, I should reiterate that if the child is not interested in rocket balloons right this minute, this is not the picture that you should be working with. You should have potentially, I'm thinking of the hardware store and how they have aprons that have pockets in them. We wear these a lot in preschool classrooms when we are using this sort of protocol to teach kids how to communicate, because we can keep the visuals in the pockets, and most of the time they're larger visuals than these tiny ones that I have, but we keep them in the pockets. And then when I know a child is really wanting to request the house, then I pull it out of my pocket, I put it in the book or on the wall or whatever, and I make it available to her so that she can take it and hand it to me. So maybe one of those aprons might be a good idea. I think they're very inexpensive, but you can also, of course, make them or keep visuals in your pockets if you wear jeans. I kind of hate jeans, so I'm not usually wearing them. But if you do, pockets can be your friend. The way that we're moving in this step, even though we still have only one picture at a time, is towards more independence with the handing over of the picture and more determination, persisting if the communication partner is not attending in quite the same ferocious way that he was in the very first step when we're waiting with eager anticipation. If at any point in this journey with using a communication book, the child tunes out, does not grasp the step that you're working on, then back up and continue doing the previous step for a while longer, and then try moving forward again. And another idea is if the child is not grasping this jump in requirements, then you need a partner to help you work with the kid to help the child bridge that gap. I'm the communication partner. I'm the one waiting for the child to communicate with me. The other person is the example, the mentor in communicating. Of course, we want that person only to do exactly what we want the child to do. So we don't want that person saying, Sammy, hand her the picture, or asking her, what do you want? What do you want? There's no verbal communication that's going on in this process so far. And there's no specific prompting. We want that person to help the child, grab the child's hand. If the child isn't able to do it, put it on the picture and wait. If the child doesn't take it off and hand it to you, then after a little time, we wait. We always wait. It's a slow process. We wait. If the child doesn't do anything, then we grab the child's hand and help him pull it off and hand it to the communication partner. That's all that the support person is doing. The support person is not talking a lot or at all. The support person is not saying, Johnny, Johnny, show your mama what you want. All of that is counterproductive, and we need it all to stop. This is a project where we want the child to be the one initiating as much as possible, and we want there to be only models of how we want the child to communicate, and as little modeling as possible, as little prompting as possible. If the child doesn't need any prompting to do these communicative activities, then don't give it. And as soon as the child can do it by himself, stop the prompting, because he doesn't need it anymore. It's only there as a measure to help the child bridge the gap between the step before and the next step. And of course, there will be exciting times when he doesn't need that support anymore, and then we back it off. I will leave more information about this down below so that you can read in more detail how this back and forth, so that you can read in more detail how to work this if you are a one-person team, and how to use a second person if you need one, if your child needs one, and if another person is even available. Sometimes that person is not available, and we need to do all the prompting ourselves, as well as be the communication partner. And there's a little bit more difficulty that comes there, but it's not impossible. I do it all the time. So you can do it too. That is step 2 in using a communication book. And I'll be back soon with step 3. I hope you're having a great week, staying healthy, and finding beauty in your day. See you soon. Bye.